If you walked away from a religious community, you've likely encountered the label apostate. While the dictionary defines it as the renunciation of a faith, in practice, the term functions as a tool for social and spiritual exile, designed to inflict lasting psychological distress. Traditional institutions often point to ancient texts, like the letter of 2 Thessalonians, which warn of a coming rebellion. They use these verses to frame a personal exit as a demonic deception, often calling it the Great Falling Away. Delivering this diagnosis serves a specific purpose. It enforces compliance through fear. By threatening a questioning member with the prospect of cosmic abandonment and the immediate loss of their community, the institution creates a terrifying barrier to the exit. This means the apostate label rarely functions as a genuine theological assessment of someone's heart. It is a mechanism of control, built to keep the patient trapped inside the building. A viewer from Texas recently messaged us about living in the shadow of one of America's largest megachurches. Overwhelmed by the sheer theatrical production of the environment, they asked a question that reverses this entire dynamic. They asked if the symptoms of spiritual decay might be found in the massive institutional shell people are leaving, rather than in the individuals who are walking away. Examining the scale of modern performative religion suggests a massive misdiagnosis. The institution demands we view it as the cure, but its internal metrics suggests it is the diseased patient. Shifting this diagnostic lens removes the weight of guilt from the individual. We stop observing a personal failure of faith and start seeing the structural collapse of the religious system itself. Ideological movements follow a predictable life cycle. They begin as fluid, adaptable communities, grounded in practical charity and simple human connection. Over time, these groups harden. They trade their core empathy for strict self-preservation, reorganizing into rigid, legalistic hierarchies. Today, that hardened state takes the form of an artificial spectacle. We see multi-million-dollar budgets prioritizing perfectly timed theatrics and stadium lighting over genuine community support. This performative piety acts as a deafening noise. It operates as a smokescreen, hiding the fact that the foundational human kindness at the center has dried up. When a religious system prioritizes its own doctrinal precision and stage production over actual humanity, it effectively dies from the inside out. We can take the exact biblical texts traditionally used by these organizations to condemn individuals and apply them as diagnostic tools against the institution itself. Consider the book of Hebrews, which warns that it is impossible to restore those who have fallen away to repentance. This is usually read as a door slamming shut, a divine expiration of grace. But look at the internal architecture of human growth. Once you learn to solve a problem with logic, you cannot force yourself to believe the wrong answer again. Your mind has reorganized into a larger, complex shape. This impossibility describes the one-way street of spiritual expansion. Once you experience genuine spiritual freedom, you structurally cannot shrink back into a fear-based cage. You simply cannot unsee the light. This mirrors the ancient principle of new wine in old wineskins. Pouring an expansive understanding of love into rigid, performative dogma inevitably causes the old container to burst. This structural bursting is the natural result of a system that can no longer contain the life within it. Applying this diagnostic lens requires us to redefine apostasy for the modern era. Real apostasy occurs when a religious system prioritizes exclusionary politics, televised branding, and doctrinal perfection over the basic ethical treatment of its neighbors. The organization abandoned its core mission of empathy long before any specific individual decided to walk out the double doors. Stepping away from an abusive, high-production environment is an act of deep intellectual honesty and self-preservation. If you carry lingering anxiety or guilt about being labeled an apostate, recognize those feelings as the remnants of a hollow control system rather than a cosmic truth. The artificial sanctuary of stadium lighting and massive corporate budgets is a poor substitute for the quiet simplicity of genuine human kindness. A true connection to the divine happens in ordinary, everyday acts of charity, completely independent of any corporate machine. Leaving the megachurch represents a transition from a staged performance into the clarity of reality.